Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. I'm your host, Jared Sebesta of Taatjes Financial Group, where we build purposeful retirement plans. At Taatjes Financial Group, we believe retirement planning is so much more than just preparing financially. Our goal is to help retirees and pre-retirees steward their time, talent, and treasure. We have the tools and proven process to make sure your retirement plan delivers the greatest purpose, impact, and legacy. If you need help building a purposeful retirement plan specific for you and your life, give us a call. Our number is 222-4236. You can request a meeting on our website, taatjesfinancial.com. And if you're in the neighborhood, just stop by our office. We're located right on 19th Avenue Southwest in Wilmer, building purposeful retirement plans. Well, thank you for tuning in here today. Before we get started with our show, just another reminder, our next online seminar is coming up next week on April 12th at 11 a.m. Central. We are calling this Grand Connections, Creating Deep, Meaningful Connections with Grandchildren. We have seen that the heart of the people that we work with, retirees, more specifically grandparents, their heart cry is to help, is to impact, is to have deeper relationships with their grandchildren, and they see the world that they grew up in changing. So again, this only kind of exemplifies this heart cry. So we wanted to help people do that. We believe that really the foundation of a great relationship is connection. So we are joining with an organization called Connected Families. They are based out of the Twin Cities of Minnesota. We have the co-founder of that organization, Jim Jackson, and one of their certified parent coaches by the name of Deja Young. They're going to be joining us again on April 12th, and we're going to talk about their 4 layers or their system by which to create connection. And again, this is specifically for grandparents connecting with their grandchildren. This is a free event. It's coming up again April 12th, 11 a.m. Central. It's online, but you have to register, and the way that you register is by going to our website, taatjesfinancial.com. Can't tune in at 11 a.m. next week on Wednesday. Not a big deal. If you register, you're going to get the replay delivered right to your inbox, so I encourage you to go check that out. Again, taatjesfinancial.com. Ben Taatjes joins me on the show, and this is a fun event. We're really we look forward to all of our events because we think that they're huge value add. This one's going to be another high impact event, something different than what we've done in the past.
Yeah, Jared, I'm excited about this one. I get to meet with so many clients who are grandparents, and like you said, what they talk about a lot and what we see with people as they age is their connections with specifically people within their their closest gatherings are super important. And one of the most important connections for any grandparent, grandchildren, and they always talk about grandchildren, and it's so different when you hear grandparents who just watch their grandchildren and then grandparents who connect. Yeah. And I think that's the importance that what we're trying to really showcase there. And that's why I felt it was important, and you felt it was important. You brought this group up, and we're like, yeah, this is just a home run, I think. And we're excited to bring them on and have our listeners gain some much needed knowledge. But I think it's a great time just to have this event. And if you can listen in on that day or get the recording.
Yep, absolutely. Whether you're a client or not, whether you're a grandparent, maybe you've been a grandparent for 10, 20 years, maybe you're maybe close to being a grandparent, I encourage you to go check it out because we're going to be really talking about the depth of a relationship big time there. So go check that out. All right, on today's show, we're going to talk about a little bit more financially driven, and this was a feature story on our Roundtable article. By the way, every single month we do a newsletter coming straight from our office called Roundtable. It just hit social media yesterday, but Ben, you had kind of the feature article on the front page of our newsletter, and you're really talking the specifics of really kind of the organizations that are involved. Let's first talk about why this became kind of front and center over the last several weeks and maybe a couple of months.
Yeah, Jared, I guess the reason I think I wanted to share this article is because the fine print doesn't usually matter to people until it matters, and I think many people are like, I don't read all the fine print until something happens where all of a sudden there's more uncertainty around organizations. You start to wonder, and then you read the fine print. And I think that's really what I think that article is about. It was like because of what we saw, with the Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, and how regulators had to come in and step in because of the way those organizations were run. All of a sudden, people are like, I better double check. I better read read the fine print. And I know because we've chosen to work with those individuals that are in our fine print, that I'm very confident in who we've chosen to work with.
Yeah, and again, that kind of stems that you've had questions over the last several weeks where people are coming to us, our clients, saying, well, who's back? Who's who are these organizations listed on my statements? What roles do they play? So let's talk about that today.
Yeah, I mean, briefly. I mean, first of all, I'd point you to the roundtable because it's a free publication. There's no reason that if you're listening today, you shouldn't just sign up. Let our office know that we can just email that to you because there's so much I can't cover today. But essentially, I link to a couple of articles in there that talk about really who's who within our business. So on the bottom of our statements and part of our statements, you'll see, of course, Taatjes Financial Group. That's our business here. That's our local business where our job is to provide the best client-centered advice we can, right? But we're not a bank. We don't hold the funds here. So when you start reading the fine print, you'll notice there's a company called Avantax on there, and Avantax is a company that we've chosen to use as our broker-dealer. They have a specific role. Usually people see the broker-dealer as the role that they actually open, approve, and monitor accounts. They help determine suitability. They do some compliance work for us. They respond to questions and inquiries that are beyond what your local office would do, us. But again, that's a name people see. It's a relatively small name, but it's a very important one, okay? Much like the other name people see, and they'll see this National Financial Services, LLC, and Fidelity. And they're like, oh, Fidelity, I've heard of these guys, right? And I think that's very important that people see those names. And keep in mind that me as a local business owner, have decided to work with these companies. And I've been working with them for over 20 years because I believe that they're our best option in the current environment. So I like what they're doing at this time. And really the differentiation there, again, is Avantax, a broker-dealer, and then National Financial Services, okay, they are the custodian of the brokerage accounts here. And National Financial Services, LLC, is owned by Fidelity. So that's kind of where you start to see those different names. And I think it's important for people to just notice, that it's not just Taatjes Financial Group involved here. We work with a company that's much larger than us, and then a company even that's much larger than them. And with that comes, that's why I talk about in the article, it comes with certain regulatory guidelines and things that we have to follow because, again, we are backed and we have a very large team behind us.
Avantax and compliance I deal a lot with because every show and every piece of marketing we have to put through compliance. National Financial Services I'm not actually quite as familiar with, even though that I work here. You mentioned they were a custodian. Just again, explain to people what exactly that means and what do they do?
Yeah, certainly not like the custodian like cleaning our building, right? They're the custodian in that they actually have the execution, clearance, and settlement of securities transactions. So they're responsible for the custody or safekeeping, the receipt and delivery of those funds and securities. So think of it as like that's where the money's actually held, okay? Not here locally, right? That is a much larger institution. And I think it's important, people, when they hear National Financial Services and they haven't maybe heard that name, it is important to know that National Financial Services is a owned entity from Fidelity. And many times people have heard of what Fidelity, they've heard about them because it's a much larger organization. Yeah. Bottom line is Avantax, you and I both know compliance is there, and sometimes it can be, it can be kind of an annoying pain in the butt, but the reality of it is they're there to help protect both us and our clients, okay? And then you look at National Financial Services and their work, also very, very important. The deal is we've decided that we want to work with these people in this time, and our clients know that it's bigger than Taatjes Financial Group. We have larger groups that are working with us to make sure our clients' needs are met.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Ben. Well, as we wrap up today, if you want to read the full article from our Roundtable newsletter, it's posted on both our Facebook and LinkedIn pages. And if you'd like to join our monthly mailing list so you never miss more articles from the TFG office, just shoot me an email at jared@taatjesfinancial.com. Before I let you go, one more shout out for our next online event. It is called Grand Connections, Creating Deep, Meaningful Connections with Grandchildren. It's coming up next Wednesday, April 12th at 11 a.m. Central Time. It is free, but you have to register by going to our website, taatjesfinancial.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Time, Talent, Treasure Radio. I'm Jared Sebesta. We'll see you next time.
Securities offered through Avantax Investment Services. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Avantax Advisory Services. Insurance services offered through an Avantax affiliated insurance agency.